so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here tonight with you guys. This class, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. We're doing different ideas for breakfast besides oatmeal. I also am somebody who has oatmeal like 99% of the time. On the weekends, sometimes we like to change it up with the recipes I'm going to share with you guys today. All three of today's recipes you guys will get with the recording. I've emailed it over to the team. So you don't have to take notes or anything. You can just kind of relax and hang out, and then you guys will get the nice PDF that I made for you guys. One of my favorite foods in college, before obviously being plant-based, was the Nature Valley granola bars. If anyone remembers them, they were kind of just these little granola bars. Usually they had peanut butter or some kind of flavoring with it. And I kind of figured out a way to create that at home, and they turned out fantastic. I actually had to tell my husband and slap his hands, tell him he has to leave them for the presentation and then he can have them after. He tried to take the whole plate with them. But they turned out really well, and they actually hold up and they travel well. You can, go hiking with these, which was originally my goal, since we do a lot of camping and hiking over the summer. And also you can change up the flavorings of it really easy. So these never get boring, and you can make them whatever season it is or flavors that you like. So in a food processor, super easy, guys. We are going to use oats. So technically this is kind of like oatmeal, but in a different way, right? We're using rolled oats, and I just have 2 cups here. This makes a large amount. It actually makes like a whole pan of granola bars, so it does make a lot. So I put my rolled oats in here, and again, you guys will get the recipe, so no worries on keeping track. I also like to add half a cup of nuts. Now for this recipe, I generally always use walnuts. If you want to skip this, if you're not using nuts, that's totally fine too. It just adds a little bit of texture to it. It's not really what's going to hold it and glue it together. I'll tell you that in a minute, but I like to use half a cup of raw walnuts. Usually I have my omega-3s like in the morning, so flax meal usually is always on my oatmeal. I don't think there's ever a day that I don't have ground flax meal, but I also like to do, walnuts if I'm gonna have a nut. But you could use whatever nuts that you like. If you like walnut, or if you like almonds, if you like pistachios, you can play around with it. You can do a little bit of each and just do a half a cup total and have a nice variety. These are also great for kids. If you're trying to get more nuts into their diet, if they need a little bit of extra fat, it's a great option. Or like husbands or spouses or people that are very, very active. I know for me, it's like trying to keep my husband full. He usually can eat a pretty good volume. So this is definitely something I make especially for him. All right, next up is what's gonna kind of, I don't know if someone's phone's ringing. There you go. Next up is the glue that's gonna glue it together. So I have dates that are pitted, and I also have prunes. I think this is a nice variety. It gets a little bit of 2 different things. If you just want to use all dates, that's fine. Or if you want to use all prunes, or if you want to use raisins or any kind of dried fruit that's going to be sticky, this is really what's going to help bind everything together. So I have half a cup of some prunes and half a cup of dates that I've pitted. And again, this is really going to be like the binding glue agent of it. And usually it's around 5 medjool dates is like half a cup. And you can always add and take away. You'll see at the end we do like the pinch test. You may add a little bit more or a little bit, a little bit less depending on if you're using medjool dates or daglet dates or something else like that. So I kind of start off with 5 each, which generally gives me around half a cup. You could also do apricots. Like dried apricots are a really great idea for the summertime as well. And then I like to get in a little bit of chia seeds and a little bit of flax meal. So I do 1 tablespoon of each. And you can up this if you want to put a little bit more, or, this isn't a crucial part of the recipe, but I like the variety of all of the plant foods. So I try to get in a little bit of everything. And I know personally for me, this is when I get in my flax meal or my chia seeds is generally in the mornings. All right, next up I have a little bit of vanilla extract. You can leave this out or put it in. Also in the notes, I put in how to make, you can make this batch chocolate with peppermint, like a chocolate peppermint granola bar. You can just do chocolate. You can do powdered peanut butter if you use that. You also can, just do it like we're going to do it today, which is kind of more of a, just a sweet vanilla regular type of granola bar. So a little bit of vanilla extract. I know sometimes people will put in coconut extract or even almond extract. You just want to go a little bit light on those because this can be kind of powerful. And then I also add some spices. So I have pumpkin pie spice, which is kind of my go-to spice, but you could use apple pie spice. You can use cinnamon. There's gingerbread spice. There's so many different ones. So again, play around with whatever you'd like. And I always just switch this up on whatever seasonal it is or whatever we're doing. Apple pie is usually a favorite in the summertime for this recipe. And then I like to add in 2 tablespoons of non-dairy milk. And again, this is going to help everything kind of stick together and just a little bit of liquid. Now, you want to make sure you don't add more than that because you can overdo it. If you do add it and it ends up being like more of a wet batter, you can always add in more rolled oats to kind of counter that. So this recipe is like kind of foolproof. You can't mess it up. You can tweak it if you go too far, and you can add to it if it's too much, but those are some tips. So I'm just going to grab some non-dairy milk that I have. And you also can add just a little bit of time and pulse it and see until it sticks. I'll show you guys kind of the pinch test that I do to make sure this works. It's similar to an energy ball. If you're making energy balls or if you're familiar with that, you kind of want everything to stick together. So around 2 tablespoons. All right, and I'm just gonna put on the lid and blend it. And my blender is over there, so I will show you guys. I'm gonna put myself on mute just so you guys don't have to hear it. And our first recipe is almost done. I have 3 tonight we're gonna make. All right, hold on 1 second, guys. All right, I'm just gonna check the chat while I'm up here. I did not soak my dates, but they are dates that are soft. They're not like really dried out, and same with the prunes. They were not super soft, but soft enough that they could be squishy. If you have like really dried out dates, you can soak them. That would definitely help. This food processor is awful, so don't buy this one. I break food processors all the time. I don't know how. But this is a KitchenAid model I'm sorry, it's a Cuisinart. I've had so many, I forget what I have. It's a Cuisinart model that I probably would not get. So I'm not even gonna tell you the brand of it. Once it officially dies on me, I told my husband that I get a new one. I'm trying to save up enough money for that Vitamix food processor duo that they just came out with. That looked really good. So that's kind of an investment, but I'm really gonna use this one until it's good no more. So whenever you guys blend it, you guys want to do like the pinch test. And it doesn't have to pinch completely, but you should be able to pick it up and things should stick together. It doesn't have to be 100%, but enough that like it feels kind of sticky in your hands. If it's not enough, you can add a little bit more non-dairy milk. This looks fine though. And then I like to use just a pan, like a square pan. You can use a loaf pan, whatever thickness you want your granola bars to be. I kind of went for the Nature Valley size, which are a little bit thinner of a granola bar. If you remember the 2 packs they used to come in. So I went with just doing it in a square silicone pan. And we are going to bake this for just a little bit. This is a really quick bake. We're only going to do 10 minutes. And that just helps dry everything out and really helps it not to crumble and kind of hold its shape. So I am going to bake this at 350 for 10 minutes. While we get everything ready for the next recipe. And then you also want to let it cool completely before you cut into them, which is kind of I know you guys are going to want to test it, but it will crumble. Just let it cool completely before. So it's all in my pan now. And I just evenly spread it out and I use my fingers to help press it down. And again, it should be sticking to each other enough that you can kind of pat it down. You also can add in like other dried fruits, like cranberries are really nice in this. Another way that you can cut down if you're trying to watch, those higher calorie dried fruits like dates and prunes is you could do a banana with this or applesauce. Those are two options. You just, again, want it, the mixture should be sticky enough that it sticks together. So there's lots of different varieties of like making this work for you, right? I always tell people that there are so many different reasons to be plant-based and different goals that people are trying to reach. So, if weight loss is one of them, doing things that are higher calorie like dates and prunes and different things and all the nuts might not be the right choice for you. But if you, aren't trying to lose weight, or if you are an active person, or, you have a family that's plant-based, this might be the choice. So there's enough for everyone. So like I said, you could do applesauce and a banana. That works really well. All right.
Do you advise people soak the dates and prunes, or is that not necessary?
If your dates are soft enough, I keep my dates in the freezer, but they actually are still kind of soft texture that I don't soak them. But if your dates are kind of dried out, I would definitely soak them before. It just helps everything out. Just drain the water after you do that. So now mine are all pressed out. Okay, this guy is just going to go into the oven. These were so easy, right? It's easier than a lot of other granola or granola bar recipes. This is going to go into the oven again at 350, and it's only going to go in for 10 minutes. So I'm just going to do that now and if it sits in there while your oven cools down, that's fine. I most times forget about this recipe. I'll do this and then like go do something else and then be like, oh, I never took them out, and it's fine. So this is a really like not stressful recipe. You can't mess it up, right? And there's so many different ways to do it.
Would you substitute the plant-based milk for the banana, for instance, or the applesauce?
I would use, if you're gonna not use any dates or prunes or anything like that, I would do half a cup of applesauce and 1 ripe banana. Blend that together, and then if it's not sticking, which it probably won't be sticking enough, just add a tablespoon at a time until it kind of, you can pinch it. That would be my suggestion. Everyone's bananas are going to be like a different size, so that kind of plays into the factor of it. But start with half a cup of applesauce and a large banana, and then you can tweak the liquid that you use. Always go slow. It's hard to take away once. You can add more rolled oats if it ends up being too much, but you can freeze these. These are great. I actually do keep these in the refrigerator, though. They're technically not dehydrated, so I wouldn't like leave these out for days. They are fresh, so they probably would grow mold quicker, or so I literally will just put these in a container and keep them in the fridge, and then just let them be room temperature before we eat them. But they travel great, and after they're in the refrigerator, they keep for around 5 to 7 days. But you can freeze them if you want to do that ahead of time. All right, so those are in the oven. We're going to move on to the next one. I have 3 recipes. We have an hour together, so I want to make sure I'm getting everything in. And hopefully those come out at the end so I can like show you guys what they look like when they're finished. The next recipe we're going to do is our frittata. And I did a YouTube video on this not too long ago, but this recipe is so fun and easy and simple for, like a weekend brunch. And again, I like to do like a little frittata bar where, family members can make their own toppings. You can half the frittata and do, like my husband does not like tomatoes, so half of the tomatoes go on my side. He doesn't get any. And again, I think this is great, especially if you have kids or grandkids, to like let them choose the vegetables that they like to put in, because it works with everything. So we are going to get a large bowl. We had a large bowl. All right, and I'm using chickpea flour for today's recipe. I like this. I feel like it resembles as much as egginess in texture more than anything else. You're going to see so many frittatas and quiches and all of that. And I do think there's something to be said about the chickpea flour. So if you're using like oat flour, it probably won't be as, it'll still work, but it won't be as frittata-like, right? And I know some people use black salt, and that definitely can make it even more like a frittata if you use salt. We actually don't use any salt besides white miso in my house. So, and I don't even have it in this recipe because most of the times we put salsa or ketchup or hot sauce on it. And so that really, I mean, it kind of, once something has those things on it, that's the main flavor. So I don't even worry about that. All right. Make sure this guy is dry. And then I like this recipe too because it is half a cup, 1.5 cups to 1.5 cups. So the equal amounts of flour and non-dairy milk are the same, which is nice. So half the time when I make this recipe, I'm not even like, don't even need to look at it once you've done it a couple of times because again, it's super easy to remember. And I also have a silicone round pan I'm going to use today for this after we whip it up. If you're using a regular pan, line it with parchment paper. There's no oil, so you don't want it to stick. But this guy is like one of my best friends for cooking because again, you don't have to use oil and it pops right out. So we always use that for this recipe. You can make this into a square pan and make like more square shapes if you want. But again, I kind of like this because it reminds me of the frittata back when we had those. All right, so in here, I'm gonna have 1.5 cups of chickpea flour. And you can make your own chickpea flour at home by grounding up chickpeas. I'm lucky here in Pittsburgh, I have this really awesome food co-op that has bulk sections of organic, all you can think of. It's like a candy shop for me. I go in every week and I just am awed by all the new stuff to try. And so I just get my chickpea flour there. So that was 1 cup. And I'm gonna do 1/2 cup now. All right, and then I'm gonna get some non-dairy milk, and I like to get an unflavored and unsweetened version. If you accidentally grab like vanilla, it doesn't turn out the best. So make sure you pay attention when you're buying it. You can use any non-dairy milk that you like, oat milk, soy milk, almond milk. I have almond milk today, so that's what I'm gonna use. And again, it's 1.5 cups. So really easy to remember that 1-to-1. Which is generally when I try to make recipes, I try to make like equal amounts of things just so it makes life a little bit easier. So you'll see that a lot in my recipes. All right, 1.5 cups is measured out. All right, so I'm gonna have our 1.5 cups here. I'm gonna actually add in the rest of our dried ingredients first. So I do have some nutritional yeast. I do think this helps add a little bit of flavor, but you could leave this out. It's not a requirement to make this turning out. Really, the chickpea and the liquid and the baking soda are the components that really are gonna tell if this recipe turns out or not. But I do find that it adds, you know, a little bit of cheesiness, as people say, but a little bit of flavors to this recipe as well. So this is 1/4 cup. And then for the spices, I always tell people is just do whatever your family likes. And we change this up a lot, but we usually do onion, garlic, smoked paprika, and turmeric. Turmeric, really, you can't taste it. It really does help like make it a little bit more yellow and kind of that reminiscence of egg color. And I just like it because, hey, if you get it into your diet without tasting it, if you're not a fan, hidden ways are what I'm about. And since I put some turmeric in there, and also my husband is a big black pepper fan. I have some black pepper here that I'm just gonna do. And usually I'll just do a dash or so. And then I have some garlic powder that I like to add. A little bit of onion powder. Again, it's 1-to-1. We also have done all different kinds of spices. I've done Italian spices / pizza spices. That's really fun. We've done curry, like a mild curry can be really nice. So whatever that you guys like. My husband likes to make his a little bit spicy. We've done red pepper flakes. You can do parsley. If you like cilantro, you could do cilantro. You'll never see a recipe of mine with cilantro though, because I'm one of those people that do not like it. So unfortunately, I'll never make anything with it. And then it's 2 teaspoons of the baking powder. All right, and that is the main hardest part of the recipe. So grab a whisk. I just give this a nice toss with all of those dry ingredients. And then you can also, like I said, make a little station and make, like, I think this is a lot of fun because it's an activity. This might be the teacher in me that always like give somebody an activity to do. But whenever we were before COVID and everything, having a little frittata bar or a little station, just like if you got up and, everyone wants to make pancakes and put whatever they want in their pancake, like what fruit they want, you can do this with this recipe. So if you have a chopping station of like all the different veggies laid out, like broccoli and onion, and you could do so many different ideas, mushrooms, and I'll have it all lined up, and then you let people kind of make their own. And especially depending on your pan, you can get a smaller pan and have individual ones. This can be really fun. And I feel like, and then we'll get to the decorating part, okay, because that's even better. All right, so in with my dry ingredients, I have my milk here, and all I'm gonna do is pour that in, and it makes a batter similar to a pancake batter. We're just gonna stir in all that flour and everything. And then you're gonna add in your whatever vegetables you want chopped. You can add in more than 1.5 cups I have on the directions. You just want the liquid to be covered. So as long as your vegetables are, you don't have too much where it's like not enough liquid is covering it, then you'll be set. All right, and see, it's kind of like pancake batter. All right, leave that aside. And then I have some of our veggies chopped already. Now I'm gonna do cabbage in mine and broccoli. I also like this recipe because you can just do a clear out of whatever's in the fridge. So if we have any vegetables that maybe don't look so great, I like to add those in as well. So we're gonna hold on to that cabbage for a minute, but I have some chopped broccoli. And then I'll just cover it, make sure that batter is covering it. And then I thought it would be really fun tonight to have, I always tell people to make like art on theirs to make it really pretty. And I thought we would maybe spell out PBNSG if I can get it. So then it bakes it with it on top. I don't know. We'll see if it works, but I've done, sunrises, and you can do mountains with your vegetables and really have a lot of fun. You can have a family contest. I think that's a really fun thing, especially when we're all stuck at home. Then have a voting, and then you guys all have something to eat while you finish. All right, so I have some extras left over. I have some pepper shrimp too. And all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna scoop out the batter onto my baking silicone pan. And you just wanna like help your batter just spread out as evenly as possible. It'll rise slightly, not too crazy, but we do wanna kind of try to make an even layer of it. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of spread it around. Again, make sure you use this parchment paper if you're not using a silicone pan. Now, if you do want to broil this like a frittata, typically, frittatas are generally like an open-faced omelet that they've broiled at the end. You can broil this, but I would suggest obviously not doing it in a pan like this. That would be super high heat. So you can let this cool, pop it out, and then put it back in for a couple minutes. Sometimes if you broil your tomatoes that you slice on top, that can be really pretty and nice. But generally that's like an extra step that I usually don't even do. It's too much work. You're already making a design. I feel like it looks beautiful when it's done. I don't feel like the broiling aspect is needed, but some people do like to have theirs broiled. All right, so this is spread out. Try to get a little bit more even. All right, and now we can spell out PBNSG. So I do have some peppers. I'm hoping this will help. Like I said, the family contest, I think that's something everyone should do. So much fun. So let's see. And then all you do is when you put something on the top, You just want to press it down just so it's like snuggled into the batter just slightly. Doesn't have to be completely submerged, but I find that it helps. So let's see. Does anyone have any questions while I try to make PBNSG as best as I can? Well, it looks like a pea, and then I'll show you guys after what it looks like before we put it in the oven.
And while you're doing that, Brittany, I just want to say if anybody showed up late, Brittany's recipes will be sent to you via email within 24 hours. It'll either be later tonight or tomorrow. So look for those so we can all enjoy Brittany's recipes.
All right, got the PB. All right, moving on to the end.
I guess the one question I have for you is, again, once these are cooked, can these also be frozen?
Yep.
Awesome.
That's like a mandatory for any of our recipes.
Yes, it is.
All right, got a little packed here. I probably should have started over a little bit. The end might be a little skinny. As I was prepping, I was like thinking about what I could make for the design, and I thought I should just spell. That would be perfect for tonight's class. All right, got the N, 2 more letters. And then I'm just pressing it in slightly. And again, you know, you don't have to do this. This is the end part is just fun, but you can, you know, make a design or not, or just fold it in, and it's really awesome. And I've done this with potatoes. There's cabbage I put in here, peppers, broccoli, you know, whatever vegetables you like. Asparagus works great. All right, let me see if I can fit this in. All right, just got one more letter. G might be a little smushed. All right. Okay, that doesn't look too horrible. Oh, and the other thing I want to tell you guys too is that when you're using a silicone pan, it's wise to do this before you do the part I did, but grab yourself a round pizza pan and put your silicone pan on top. So when you're like pulling it from the oven and putting it in the oven, it's something stable. Same with if you're going to use, even like the one we did our granola bars on, if you put it on a baking sheet, sometimes that makes that process easier. If you ever done cakes or anything with that, it just makes it a little less stressful. Do that. So I will show you guys at the end, but that's my bad spelling. We'll see how it turns out. It's had a little bit more room on the one side. But I just press everything down. And we'll see if you can tell it's PBNSG when it's finished. So this is going to go into the oven. Again, it's at 350, so that's really awesome. It's the same temperature. You can make both these recipes really the same time. And this is 30 to 35 minutes. Generally around like 33 minutes is my sweet spot for this. Everything will be nice and brown and golden. And then the goal with this too is you need to let this cool completely before removing it. If you pull it too early, that's when stuff can kind of stick or break apart. Forget it. When you pull it from the oven, don't touch it until it's completely cool. All right, I'm gonna swap them. All right, and then these bars are, you know, it's not like it's getting completely brown, but we're letting it kind of, we just wanted to dry it out a little bit. So again, it doesn't kind of flake or be too moist. So they're gonna sit and just kind of cool down. I don't want to cut them or anything until they're cold, but our granola bars I'm gonna set aside. And that recipe does make quite a lot. And they travel so great. Generally, I make it anytime before we go camping because they're great to have like in your backpack when you're busy. Sorry, this one's gonna go in. And then the last recipe is super easy. I don't know how many of you guys have messed around with making your own yogurt before, but you can make your own yogurt with 2 ingredients in your Instant Pot, and you can actually make, I find that soy yogurt really works the best if you use soy milk because of the fat. It really helps to kind of stay together. Almond milk also works pretty good. I haven't had much luck in oat milk or some of the other ones experimenting, but we actually have a recipe video on our website to make the soy yogurt. It takes 2 ingredients. It's just a probiotic or a capsule or a starter mixed with soy milk that sits in your Instant Pot for, the longer you let it sit, the more kind of tangy it gets, right? So around 12 hours is perfect for the amount that I like. So I will just make that the night before. It's really awesome. There's a yogurt setting on most of the Instant Pots. But you can also buy, there is a couple different brands that are pretty good that have like minimal ingredients for yogurt that's plant-based. I always try to find one if I'm going to buy one with, no added sugar and different things like that. So you can buy one or make it yourself. I have some I made myself right here. And I like this recipe because I call this my banana split recipe. So let me grab a banana real quick. And I do this on the weekends when it's crazy busy, but I also want something that's going to be fun and kind of like a treat and doesn't take me long. So I wanted to share this little hack with you guys. Usually I'll grab a banana split bowl, or I'll grab some nice dish that I want, and I grab my banana. And this is kind of a take on a banana split. You could also have this for just like a dessert if you wanted. Generally, this is my summer go-to. I have used my own yogurt after I've done it as a starter. Someone asked in the chat, and that works really great well. That's the most, cost-efficient way to do it. They do get kind of expensive if you buy some of the yogurt kits online. Probiotic capsules work great too for it. And I like to use Eden Soy has like a just 1 ingredient soy milk. Also Trader Joe's has one that I like to use. So I'll just take my banana. I usually get a ripe banana. And I've done this with nice cream before, and that was generally where I got the idea for this, is that when you do, thinking back to banana splits, you make nice cream and put nice cream scooped onto a banana split and have it like a traditional dessert. But I like to do this for breakfast. Again, I kind of do this on the weekends. You can just cut your banana lengthwise, open it up. Then I like to take my yogurt. And again, this is the day where I'm like, oh, I want something different than my oatmeal. Take my yogurt, and this is around 3/4 of a cup or 1 container if you purchase it. And then I just like to pour it down the middle. And then this is where you can again, you can do a whole little I'm really into breakfast bars, if you guys haven't noticed it, letting everyone pick. But in the summertime, I like to get all different kinds of berries. We can do raspberries, where we go to a local farm and kind of pick our own berries. So sometimes we'll do that. I have some blueberries today, and I always try to make this as colorful as possible. So if you want to do strawberries or blueberries or whatever that you personally like, or a mixture of multiple ones is even better. And then same with the nuts and seeds for this recipe. I find this is a good opportunity to get in some sunflower seeds because they have a great amount of vitamin E, which I'm reading the book Nourish by Brenda Davis right now, if any of you guys are familiar. And so she talks about how to have a well-balanced plant-based lifestyle. And one of the sources that some people have issues with getting enough is vitamin E. So I always try to, I'm definitely a nutrition nerd when it comes to reading about it. And even though I've been doing this for a long time, I always want to research and find out more. So I find this a really great opportunity to kind of sprinkle some sunflower seeds on top. Not a lot, you actually don't need a ton, but a little bit goes a long way. So I have some blueberries that I'll sprinkle on top. All right, a couple handfuls of those. And generally, like for the fruit, I generally just will sprinkle it. I have it measured out on the recipe, but usually I just, whatever my heart desires, right, for the weekend. Sometimes we do apples chopped up for this one. It all varies. And then in here I have my flax meal, which you guys, I talked about that earlier. I always try to get in flax for breakfast. So I have some flax meal. And you can change this out with chia seeds if you want to do that instead. Some flax meal ready to go. I also have our raw sunflower seeds. I have 2 teaspoons, so not like a ton, but a little bit. It also gives a little bit of crunch to this recipe. That's kind of nice. And then for the kind of the sweetness for this, since I got an unsweetened yogurt, I always usually do blackstrap molasses, which if you haven't had it before, it does have a really strong irony taste, but after you've done it for a little bit, I love it. And so I used to only have it like in gingerbread things, but now anytime I have this dish, it like has to have blackstrap molasses. So the 2 sweeteners that I generally eat in my own personal diet is anything with dates. So if you make your own date paste, or if you use dates in a recipe, or like the prunes. But the other sweetener that I use really only for this recipe and sometimes in my oatmeal is the blackstrap molasses, and it has a great amount of iron and calcium. And I know you guys mentioned that Dr. Greger was coming and doing a class very soon with you guys in this group. It's the other sweetener that he recommends. So he has 2 sweeteners that are kind of his green light foods that are dates and blackstrap molasses. And so I just, this is I only have a tiny bit left. It gets kind of messy. I have it like sitting in a container in my refrigerator so it doesn't get messed up, but I will just drizzle a little bit on top. And like I said, if you don't like blackstrap molasses, keep going with it. Eventually, I swear, somebody who kind of made a face whenever I would eat it, but now I just love it. So I feel like it's one of those foods that's a little underrated. And just a little bit on top. And then it looks really pretty now, but I mix it all together and then it's not so pretty after it's all incorporated, but it does taste very good. All right, let me wash my hands real quick. And if you want to use date paste, or not even use something to drizzle on top, that's totally fine as well. It's up to you. Yeah, I really like the book by Brenda Davis. It's been really great, and it's going to be our next month's highlight on our channel because I have the audiobook and I have the book, so I like to do both at the same time. I love it so much to really make sure I understand everything. So that is a little banana split. And doesn't it look so good? And again, you can play around with it. You can use whatever, you don't have to put blackstrap molasses. You can use date paste or whatever sweetener you like, or, just, use the fruit as a sweetness. It's actually sweet enough. And then play around with whatever flax meal or chia seeds, or if you want to do nuts, you can. And it's just a really fun, different, quick, breakfast idea. So I have around 28 minutes for the frittata. I don't think we're going to get to it at the end, but I will take a picture of how it turned out and make sure I send it over. Maybe they'll include it in the email recipes you guys got with the PBNSG. Hopefully it looks okay with my spelling art. But if you guys have any questions, I'll feel free to send them my way. I'm here. I think we have another 15, 20 minutes left of class. I'm happy to answer any of them. And I can also cut the granola bars too while we're waiting.
Now, I asked a question earlier. I just typed it in there. Have you ever frozen the homemade soy yogurt to make it more like a ice cream consistency? Will that work?
It doesn't really get to be like scoopable like ice cream. I still think doing the bananas as an ice cream works the best.
Okay.
I have let it kind of I have used it for like sour cream as well as yogurt. So you can like change it up, and you can use it for different dressings. So I usually make it in a big, so how I make it is I grab one of these big glass mason jars and I fill it to the top with that soy milk that's unsweetened that you can buy, the one ingredient. And I add 1 capsule of the probiotic. I put the lid on just to shake it up. You take the lid off. Don't put the lid in your Instant Pot. Put it in your Instant Pot. It doesn't need any water or anything. right? It doesn't, when you click the yogurt section on your Instant Pot, it doesn't really get like hot. When you touch the side of your Instant Pot, it becomes a certain level of pressure, but it doesn't get like, you know, not like when you cook soup, there's something in it. So this guy goes in with no other liquid. And then after 11 hours, you take off your Instant Pot lid and it's nice and thick and really gets delicious. It's like literally the easiest way I found to make yogurt. So I'll just do 2 of these in my big 8-quart, and it makes a ton. It lasts really great. You can freeze it, but I'm not sure that it scoops out like nice cream.
And do you set it to sealing or venting?
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't come up to pressure to do either, but I always just do sealing because I'm so used to doing that with anything with Instant Pot. That's like my first thing I always do just to be on the safe side. So I do seal mine. You can use any vegan probiotic. Doesn't really matter which one, you know, you can get them very inexpensive off of Amazon even. And there also are vegan starter. In the video that I did, I used like a vegan starter culture that you can buy. I think it comes in like a 3 or 4 pack. That's a little bit more expensive to do it that way, but that's the way I started. But really any vegan probiotic will work. Rebecca, I didn't include it in the recipe packet, but if you go to my YouTube channel, if you just type in Jaroudi yogurt, it comes right up. And it's really only 2 things, so it's super easy. If you also send me an email, I can send it over to you, but it's available. But yeah, the yogurt's great. Like I said, you can buy store-bought yogurt, or if you wanted to do, like, even if you wanted to make nice cream and make a banana split with that as more of a dessert aspect, we do that too a ton, especially in the summertime. Once it gets a little warmer here in Pittsburgh. I don't put it on the rack, I just put it at the bottom. As long as you have an Instant Pot that's big enough to put the lid on, you know, I don't use this with like my 3-quart. This is a little bit too big. I have a 3-quart and I have an 8-quart. I keep looking up because it's up there. I don't even put it, I just put it directly in, 2 of them next to each other. And it does a great job. I would do it after. So make it plain, unsweetened, and then, you know, make it, and that's really a great point too about asking if you do the sweetener with the yogurt, because you can use it for other things. Like if you wanted to use it for a sour cream, you can use it for something else. And yeah, I generally will sweeten everything at the end. And then I find too, like if you're living with someone else too, their preference might not be the same as yours, which really helps. All right, let me grab those granola bars. And that takes like no time at all, you know, to whip together. That is a Sunday, almost every Sunday here. And then I like to just use a butter knife to cut out these. It's not completely cool, so I'll cut one of them, and you can make these as big or as little as you want. Like you can make nice long strips, smaller pieces, squares, whatever you'd like, right?
And Brittany, somebody was asking if they don't have an Instant Pot, do you have any idea what temperature it would be for her to set her, she has a Ninja Foodie. Do you know what temperature that would be? Any idea?
I don't know. I would definitely Google whatever you're using to look it up, but I would assume it's not like, I think it's not super high temp, so I would just check it out. There's probably tons of, I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction. Yogurt's one of those things too, like I've had sometimes where it hasn't worked and then it'll work, and so I don't know if that's because a probiotic I was using wasn't right. So it's one of those things that I think, just like when you make homemade bread, it takes a little bit of practice, but it's pretty easy after you get the hang of it. All right, and then these guys just pop out. Now these, if you let these cool completely and don't touch them, they get a little bit more like held together. Part of mine's a little bit crumbly just because I didn't let it hold together, but they turn out great, like little granola bars, and it takes really no time. And again, I like to do, especially chocolated peppermint is a favorite. If I'm making more like a dessert granola bar, or we've done, you could put almond butter, make them more of, you know, even richer. Lots of different choices. It just depends on whatever you'd like. So I always try to change up like the seeds that we're using or the nuts or the fruit to kind of have variety. The Instant Pot is beloved in the plant-based community. I saw someone ask in the chat. I don't think it's a necessity. You definitely don't have to have one to be plant-based. I cook most of the things, believe it or not, on my stovetop, especially because there's only 2 of us in my household. So I feel like I'm personally not somebody that batch cooks. A lot of people ask me if I batch cook, just because I'm recipe testing like all the time, like every day almost. So that's not really a good thing for me, but I do use it for the yogurt most often and for soups. That's really easy, but it depends. There are lots of awesome recipes with the Instant Pot, but there are a ton without. So I think wait for it to come on sale. Amazon generally will have really awesome sales where it's like $60 or some for a pretty good size one. So just wait till it comes on sale if you want to purchase one. It would be my suggestion. But I know whenever you become, there's certain, we always talk about like I have a Vitamix and I have a food processor and I have all these different gadgets. I told myself I'm not allowed to get any more gadgets. And then I was talking about the Vitamix combo at the beginning. You know, I think you can make it work with whatever you have. And I'm sure there are recipes online too for how to make yogurt without it. So, you know, there are ways that it can be done. Does anyone else have any other recipes? Or any other questions? Yeah, and you guys will get, I have the 3 recipes already for you guys. And there are, like I said, on our channel, we have like 200 and some recipes, I think, available. So there are a lot of different options. And breakfast is one of those things that I personally get stuck, not in a rut, but I make steel cut oats, you know, most mornings. Sometimes I do oat groats, and I'm always kind of putting in the same things. So I think it is nice to switch it up. You know, in the summertime, I might be more inclined to do a smoothie, but I generally never do that in this time of year or anything like that. So it's nice to have different, even savory options for breakfast. I have Debbie. I actually have the Breville Smart Oven Air. We're talking about more gadgets, but I did buy the Breville Smart Oven Air, which is probably my favorite thing that I have in my kitchen. It's something I use the most. It's actually a convection oven that has an air fryer. It has a dehydrator. It's around $400, which was my big investment. But we actually use it so much, I actually don't even use my regular oven because my kitchen is really small and my regular oven makes the house like super hot. So I actually use my oven for storage, my regular oven, and then really only use the Smart Oven Air. So I do have an air fryer with that. That being said, I actually don't air fry that much. I find that air frying takes a lot of the liquid out of the foods that you're eating. And so if you really, you know, want to be full and besides potatoes, I really don't think to even use it often. It is the Breville Smart Oven Air. And it does like everything. So it air fries and does, so I haven't had a reason to go buy an air fryer. The reason why I like this one, and I use this in my oven, I don't just use it like for the air frying, is that it comes with like this massive air frying basket. Look how big this guy is. And so if you were gonna air fry or bake, you could, you know, the ones that you buy that are like $50 and $60 that you pull out, those are pretty small baskets. I know they make some XL size air fryers now, but this guy is like really, really large if you did want to. So I feel like I'm being a spokesperson for the Breville Smart Oven Air, but it is something that my husband even said, like in our next house that we're saving up for. He talked about like wanting to own like multiple ones. And I told him, you only need one, but it does do an awesome job. And we actually even have, it's not the Breville Smart Oven Air, but it's a Breville Smart Oven small version that we take camping with us. So we love it so much. We have like a little tiny version I got at, I think it was at Marshall's that I saw that we actually take in our camper.
And it looks like there's a question, somebody's asking about a chocolate mint variation of your recipe.
Yeah.
Well,
You definitely could do chocolate mint, and especially I didn't mention, I put it in the directions, but if you put some fresh mint on the yogurt, that's really fun too, as well for the summertime. So sometimes we'll have fresh mint in our garden that I'll put in here as well. And with raspberries, that's like my favorite way. But you definitely can do, you know, chocolate mint, kind of peppermint patty style granola bars. Really whatever flavor and seasonings and spices that you like or fruit that you like, this works for. The base of it really is just going to be the oats, and you know, if you're adding in that dried fruit with the dates and prunes, that really helps everything stick together. That's like your starting point, and then you can go wild with whatever, you know, flavorings you like for it.
And for your silicone bakeware, I have some as well that I bought off from Amazon. I don't even remember what brand. Do you have a specific brand you like, or just something you find on Amazon?
The ones that we have, this is like I buy a couple of them, but I haven't like rebought them since we got these. So these are really the only ones I've tried out. But we do have an Amazon like affiliated link that I put all of, I think I have the Breville Smart Oven Air, I have everything. I have the little tiny one we take camping. I have all the pans in there. So if you go to Amazon.com/shop/the Jaroudi Family, it has like appliances, cookbooks, everything that I kind of recommend. Every time we get something I like, I make sure to tag it. So all of like this pan, the one I'm doing the quiche in, all are in there.
Okay, and I just put that link. I forgot to put .com on the end, but after the
Yeah, it's a great, and anytime like we find spices that we like we make a breakfast sausage patty out of black beans, and people always ask me like, what's the SOS free sausage seasoning that we use, and I get off of Amazon, but it's just this little seasoning blend that doesn't have any salt. It's just a blend of spices, and so like anytime we use anything that we like the nutritional yeast that we like, I make sure I put it on there. But if you haven't tried out the breakfast sausage patties, those are also a really great breakfast option that's savory. That could be really fun to make for a special brunch occasion.
I think we've answered all the questions. But if anyone has any more questions for you, like later, do you have somewhere on your website they can submit questions?
Yeah, we have on our website, we have a contact me page, and there's like a little email, like little form that you put your name, your email address. And I do, sometimes I'm a little slow at getting back to people, but I do try to get back to everyone. You can always message me there that you were in class and if you have any questions for me. And then we have a private Facebook group that I'm really active in there as well. So if you guys, any of you guys do Facebook, I try to get on there every day and talk to people. And I see Jody tried the black bean sausage patties, and Amy tried our breakfast cookies. Yeah, those are really, we make breakfast cookies, kind of a similar idea to the granola bars, but you can just take bananas and oats, and you know, we like to do, sometimes I'll add just a little handful of dark chocolate in it. That's really nice as a treat. Or we'll just use raisins, or even don't put anything in there, just the bananas and spices and oats, and make these little cookies, and then you feel like you're having something special as well. It's just a different version of having oatmeal. Kind of change it up.
You have recipes on our website also, pbnsg.org. I think you have like 9 recipes. I forget how many are on there.
Yeah, they put them on there whenever I always tell them whichever ones they want to pull, they're welcome to have.
Yeah, so if anybody hasn't looked at our website, it's pbnsg.org, and just look for our recipe tab. And if you don't receive our newsletters, which I'm assuming most of you have, in order to find information to register, but it's just on the home page of our website. And we will be, in addition to the 5 classes or 5 events we're having in March, beginning in April, we're coming out, we're just working on a new membership platform, or that will be coming out. I believe that's going to start in April. So look for information about that in our newsletter and on our website. So that'll be exciting. It's something along the lines of the Sprout Club, but with a bonus. So look for that. We're excited to start that up pretty soon. And if any of you have ordered our Perfectly Plant-Based Cookbook recently and you haven't received it, that's because they are on back order, but they are being shipped right now. They're on their way. There must have been a delay. I don't know if it was the weather or what, you know, last week, a lot of us in the country had some bad weather, but they are on the way. So those will be shipped. So please look for those and you will receive your tracking information as soon as they get to the post office from us.
It's a great book. I'm working my way through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And those of you who aren't familiar with it, we have 110 perfectly plant-based recipes, no oil, from 23 of our contributing chefs. So, it's a great cookbook. And you can also get an ebook version of it as well if you don't want to wait. And I don't see any more questions. People are saying thank you to you, Brittany.
Well, thanks so much for having me. And I'm looking forward to the dessert class too. We're going to make some really fun springtime desserts. So if you guys know my channel, you'll know that a lot of people really love the desserts that we do. So I'm really excited to share those with you. We'll get all of our Japanese sweet potatoes ready for that class and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, those are the best. You know, if nobody's ever had those before, you have to get them. They're so good. Yeah, and then
they are a great one to sneak into desserts.
Yeah, definitely. And the next class, Brittany's next class will be on March 16th, and everything is on our website. So do that. And of course, if you have any questions, send them to connect at connect@pbnsg.org. So I think that's about it. Well, thank you, Brittany. We appreciate your class, and we look forward to the next one.
Well, thank you so much for having me.